Well, tonight, 8 Eastern, ABC, it's a winner-take-all battle for the NFC #1 seed in the NFC West. Both Seahawks 49ers entered this game riding 6-game win streaks. First regular season finale in NFL history between teams entering on streaks of at least 6 games. 49ers streak, well, it began when Brock Purdy returned from that turf toe. That was in Week 11. They've been averaging an NFL best 35.7 points per game during the streak. Purdy, 5 total touchdowns in each of his last 2 games. Meanwhile, Seattle's led by Sam Darnold. He could win 14 games for the second straight season after doing so with Minnesota last season. And if he does, do you know he would join the GOAT, Tom Brady, as the only QBs to win 14 games in consecutive seasons? Let's bring in our football analyst, Sam Acho. So, Sam, in your opinion, what do you think has to be on point for the Seahawks if they're going to win this game?
It has to continue to be their defense. Seattle has one of the best defenses in all of the NFL. They're actually number 2 overall. And offensively, they have a high-powered offense as well. But the defense has to shut down and slow down not just Brock Purdy, but also Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is the leading rusher and receiver for the 49ers. And that 49ers offense is what makes them go. And so Seattle has to prove that their defense is no fluke. Yes, they do turn the ball over, Seattle offensively, so the defense has to be the answer.
Okay, so now on the 49ers side, what have you seen out of Brock Purdy besides all the touchdowns recently that could cause Seattle some issues?
Well, how about the touchdown dances? How about the celebrations? How about the level of confidence that Brock Purdy is playing with? When you have a quarterback who plays with a level of confidence like that, I've seen it, I've been a part of it, everybody on that team believes they can win no matter what. They've been decimated by injuries on the defensive side of the ball. But you're seeing Brock Purdy do the Dougie in the end zone. You're seeing Brock Purdy go to the sideline and show the ball out to the defender. He's playing with a level of swagger where a defender on his team or a receiver or an offensive lineman says if he's going to put his body on the line and have joy and play with authenticity, we get a chance to do the same.
Yeah, Purdy's got a 85 QBR since Week 13. That's second only to Drake May. We got more from Smiling Sam in just a moment.
BC, we've got an NFC showdown at 4:30 Eastern on ABC between the Panthers and Bucs. For the Panthers, it's pretty simple. Win this game and you clinch the division for the first time since 2015 when they went to the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers need to win and have the Falcons lose to the Saints. Winning isn't something the Bucs have done a lot lately. They're 1-7 in their last 8 games after starting the season 6-2. However, despite that, they're seeking a record-breaking 5th straight NFC South title. Panthers might be big cats, but Carolina spend a lot more time as dogs, underdogs that is. They already have 8 outright wins as underdogs this season, tied with Washington in 2015 for the most in a season in the Super Bowl era. We bring Sam Acho back with us now. And Sam, why could Carolina focus go beyond just this game?
Because they've got a back door into the playoffs. Of course, Carolina wants to win this game, but if the Atlanta Falcons win, there'll be a 3-way tie in the NFC South. And because of that 3-way tie, the Carolina Panthers would be in the playoffs. Now, Carolina's perspective is this. Tedero McMillan, one of their stud wide receivers, has been outstanding down the field, big play receivers. Tampa Bay has had some injuries on the defensive backfield, so it should be Tedero McMillan's show on the offensive side of the ball, but even if Carolina loses, they still got a way to get into the playoffs.
All right, so on the other side, offensively, Baker Mayfield has been beat up. How critical is his health in this showdown?
Baker Mayfield's health is everything because when he's healthy, he's even more confident. This Tampa Bay team has lost 7 of their last 8 games. I've been a part of losing streaks like that. People say that losing is contagious, and it's very true, but winning can be as well. When Baker Mayfield is at his best, not turning the ball over, playing with that level of confidence that we talked about with Brock Purdy, all of a sudden he can will his team to victory. The Panthers have been up and down as well. They've won 1 and lost 1 over the last 8 weeks. But for Tampa Bay, it's got to be Baker Mayfield and his confidence because the defense in Tampa Bay is not playing well at all.
Yeah, just as you see on the bottom of the screen, Mayfield has 4 straight games with the interception, tied for his longest streak within a season since 2019. So if he can contain that, they should be in a good position. Sam, excellent work, brother. Thank you. Jeremy Fowler and Files, name a better combination, y'all. I mean, come on. Speaking of word association, It's been 49ers and injuries all year, Jeremy. So what are you hearing on several of their stars ahead of today's game, starting with George Kittle?
Yeah, Scooby, the injuries have not stopped them yet. They keep rolling. They still got a chance of the 1 seed if they can win this game. George Kittle is hoping to be a part of it. He has told reporters he is expected to play. He absolutely wants to, so the 49ers will monitor his progress on that ankle issue. It's a low to mid ankle sprain, so not a high ankle. That's been the good news. Missed last week. He should be all systems go, assuming no setback today as they get closer to kickoff. Now you got Trent Williams. This one I'm told is a little bit trickier because he is expected for the playoffs for the first round, assuming they have either the 1 seed or the 2, wherever they are. But tonight, this game is going to be a bit of an issue. We'll see if he can make it. They just don't want to set back that hamstring. He did not practice all week, so not ruled out, questionable. But people I talked to said definitely playoffs either way. And then you got Ricky Pearsall. He worked through his issues, had a bit of an ankle and a back, and he played well last week, 80-plus yards. So he did practice this week as well. So they're hopeful that he can continue that momentum going. Not a slam dunk, listed as questionable. We'll see how he feels today. But all 3 guys up in the air. Kittle, it seems, has the best chance to play.
Okay, so tomorrow it's Ravens Steelers for a spot in the playoffs beyond this game. What are you hearing about both quarterbacks, starting with Lamar Jackson?
So Lamar Jackson, his future is interesting because he's got a $75 million cap hit. The guaranteed money on his long-term deal is drying out. So the Ravens have a decision to make here. Do they want to continue to negotiate, try to hammer out a long-term deal on a market that would be massive for a player of his caliber, the 2-time MVP? There are questions about how they're going to handle this because they haven't won big with Jackson yet. Most people I talk to say that, look, the Ravens know they're better off with Jackson than without, but it's going to be costly either way. They got to sort that out. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, so free agent in March. He's played well. I continue to hear that the Steelers have been open to him coming back a second year. They like how things have gone. He's got chemistry with head coach Mike Tomlin. His mobility's been pretty good. His arm strength is still there. And he could be a bridge quarterback if they draft a player high, a passer in the draft in the 1st or 2nd round. They've done a lot of scouting on these recent drafts, knowing they have to take somebody high. Rodgers could be that bridge. A lot could depend on how this game goes. If they can win it, get in the playoffs, make some noise, might be easier for Rodgers to come back. We know he's going to take his time deciding. It's not going to be a quick decision.
So much at stake in Week 18. And for that game, winning team will be the 4 seed. Losing team will be out of the playoffs completely.
Feels like the playoffs already.
Right? Thank you, Jeremy. Now, the AFC North has been a roller coaster all season. Entering the year, the Ravens were the odds-on favorite to win the division, but after a rocky, injury-filled start, they were long shots heading into Week 17. Now, just 1 week later, it's come full circle, and Baltimore is the favorite once again.
Back with my guys, Sam Acho. And Sam, the Steelers won this meeting the first time around. Why do you think they could be at a disadvantage this time, though?
Because they're going to be without their stud receiver, DK Metcalf, who's serving the 2nd of his 2-game suspension. Remember, their game earlier in the season, DK Metcalf, 7 catches, 148, over 20 yards per reception. Without DK Metcalf, it could be a problem. But more than that, the Baltimore Ravens could be leaning on their running back and their rushing attack in Derrick Henry. The Ravens are the #1 rushing team in the NFL, and Derrick Henry himself is top 3. He's number 2 when it comes to first downs achieved. And so what that means is that the Ravens, though Lamar Jackson should be playing, they're going to be leaning on the running attack, and then hopefully without that stud receiver DK Metcalf, they should be able to be on the field more if they want to get a chance to be in the playoffs.
Also on Sunday, also up for grabs, the #1 seed in the AFC. In your opinion, which team you think is the more dangerous as the top dog? Is it Bo Nix and the Broncos, Drake May and the Pats?
I think it's the Denver Broncos, but it's not just because of Bo Nix. I think it's because of their defense. The Broncos lead the NFL when it comes to sacking the quarterback. Why does that matter for a team who could be at home? Because that home field advantage is an advantage to a defender, because when the offense is on the field, the opposing offense, they're yelling, they're screaming. It's hard to get that snap count. A defense that has 64 sacks, more than double digits more than anyone else, is going to be at a huge advantage when it comes to home field and a team that loves to get after the QB.
The AFC South also going to be decided this weekend. So in your opinion, who's the larger playoff threat, you think? Jacksonville, they've won 7 straight, or Houston, who've won 8 straight?
I think it's Houston, and I go back to not just their pass rush, but their entire defense. Houston boasts the #1 defense in the NFL, and sometimes when you had a guy like Will Anderson or another guy like Danielle Hunter, they can be game changers, take over an entire series, an entire half, and an entire game. And so that's why I think that the Houston Texans will be a bigger threat. Their offense has been up and been down, but their defense is playing with an extreme level of confidence. D'Amico Ryans is their head coach, but also a defensive mind. People talk about packing the defense and you go into the playoffs. They'll be packing the defense in Houston.
And their defense downright stingy, allowing just 16 points, 272 yards per game. Both of those best right now in the NFL. Sam Acho, thank you.
We got massive implications for the Seahawks versus 49ers game that's right here on ESPN and ABC. We have reports from both teams ahead of their matchup.
After a dramatic offseason roster reset and a series of devastating injuries, nobody, including members of the 49ers, believed they would be in the position they're in going into tonight's game against Seattle. With a win, the Niners would claim the NFC West division, the #1 seed in the NFC, a first-round bye, and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Now, they value the bye the most, but just after that is that home field advantage. And that's because Super Bowl LX will be played in their home stadium, Levi's, which means the Niners may not have to get on a plane again the rest of the season, and they could play a full postseason's worth of games in front of what left tackle Trent Williams tells me is the best fan base in North American sports.
The Seahawks are an NFL best 14-2 on the road since the start of last season, and one more road win gives them home field advantage and a first-round bye in the playoffs. With Sam Darnold, it's been business as usual this week as he prepares for one of the biggest games of his career. And that speaks to something that Mike Macdonald has said several times this season about his quarterback, which is that, quote, Sam is the same guy every single day. The Seahawks believe that even-keeled nature has helped them ride out some of the struggles their offense has faced over the second half of the season. Darnold now leads all players with 20 turnovers. The Seahawks are hoping that turnover problem comes to an end Saturday night, and they're hoping Darnold's poise helps him deal with the pressure he's going to face with the #1 seed on the line.
America, regular season games don't get bigger than this. Since playoffs went to 12 teams in 1990, this is the third regular season finale with the 1 seed on the line. It happened last year when the Lions beat the Vikings for it, and back in 1993 between the Cowboys and Giants when Troy Aikman and them boys won that game in overtime. I was one. Brian was probably watching that game.
Okay, I see what you did there. At 4:30 ABC, ESPN, another big one on the line between the Bucs and Carolina. Hey, for Carolina, win, you're in. Bucs, not so much. Reports from both teams. Let's start with our Panthers reporter, David Duke.
This speaks volumes. Quarterback Bryce Young had no idea earlier in the week that the Atlanta Falcons had given the Panthers another avenue into the playoffs if they don't beat the Bucs on Saturday. As far as Young was concerned, the only avenue was by beating the Bucs, claiming the NFC South title, and going to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. And that's just the way Coach Dave Canales wants it. He wants the Panthers focused on the task at hand, and that's beating the Bucs for the second time in 3 weeks, which will get them into the playoffs. Now, there is another avenue, and that is something that Canales is not really talking much about this week. The Panthers could lose to the Bucs, and then it would come down to Atlanta having to beat New Orleans on Sunday, so the Panthers may not know their fate until 4 o'clock on Sunday. But as far as Young and the Panthers are concerned, there's only one game that matters, and that's the Bucs. As running back Shuba Hubbard and others said, we're going in this game to win it.
For weeks, the attitude in this Bucs locker room was, as left tackle Tristan Wirfs said, it doesn't have to be pretty. Let's just get to the dance. And at the time, this group was still without Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan, and Chris Godwin was just finding his footing coming off of injury, and so was Bucky Irving. But fast forward to week 18, and this group is staring a 7-9 record in the face with its playoff hopes slipping away. And that's what happens when a group drops 7 out of its last 8 games. That is not something this team is used to, considering that the last 2 years, this group has had a combined 10-2 record. That is tied with the Rams for the best record in football in that span. But miraculously, they're still in this thing today. And as center Graham Barton told me, tunnel vision. All that matters is this week. Win today, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's certainly been a roller coaster season for the Bucs. It started off well. They were 6-2, giving up just 22 points per game, posting a +7 turnover margin. However, over the second half of the season, things have been boo-boo. I mean, they are just 1-7 over the last 8 games. They've been outscored by 52 points and have a negative turnover margin.